And good morning. Welcome to your Thursday and your Thursday edition of Things You Might Not Have Heard. I am Jay Clifton Payne, of course, as we say down in Chiron, your news side piece since 2022, way back 3 months ago, technically last year sometime. And we're going to give you in a few moments your good look at news. And we open up and we have in our picture, our teaser graphic, Halle Bailey, and we're so glad to have some good news because it's going to get very, very graphic, very, very raw, very, very quick with the stories in today's. Today may not be one of the better days of news, but we've got to get through it because this is things you might want to know. These are things that did not get picked up in the news coverage on the day. Trust me, these are some things that did not make your mainstream news coverage, but will make you a more well-rounded person knowing what's going on out there, knowing some of these stories that we're going to cover today. So we're going to get into that in mere moments. Want to remind you that you can go to our main website at thisistheconversationproject.com, or specifically thisistheconversationproject.com for more details about what's going on. And yes, we will continue pledge driving. So if you've not opened up your wallets, to open your hearts, if you will, we're going to once again make a plea to get you to help us out in our partnerships campaign. Now, let's go into less partnerships and more work. This time I'm doing the work from the work you already did. You already vetted the stories, and so I curated some top stories to give you some good detailed stories right here. This one, not a good story. Starting off with Amy Choi murder. Remains found in fridge. Soup pot belonged to model. This is a story that's not here, but it's been a lot of coverage internationally, especially nearby where this happened, overseas. And this is pretty grisly, so not like kids are watching this, but make sure you know this might be an earmuffs moment for your children. DNA test confirmed that human legs and a skull found in a refrigerator and cooking pot belonged to the butchered fashion model Abby Choi, according to a report. The 29-year-old woman has been arrested. A 29-year-old woman has been arrested in connection with Choi's savage murder and dismemberment. Also, Alex Kwong, his father and brother were charged with murder after human body parts were found in a house. This is some sort of weird dispute where the ex-husband of Amy had some sort of beef over money, and it turned into murder. You have to kind of go read this to go deeper into the grisliness of it. It's not an easy read, I'll tell you right now, but check it out. It's in the list. It's the top story. This was the top story by all accounts with engagement on the day. So people may not have known about her, but they saw this in our feeds and they engaged in it because it was curiously grisly. Not quite so grisly, just as curious, but also kind of eerie as well. Tiger Woods sued by ex-girlfriend Erica Herman in larger dispute over home and money. This time it didn't lead to anything of any sort of macabre nature, but we're finding out, if you haven't found out yet, Tiger Woods, extremely talented golfer in his day, had his issues with his injuries and people want to see him play, but apparently not the greatest guy. And that's what we're finding out with a lot of folks in the don't meet your heroes sort of way, where these people are good at what they do, and we acknowledge them and pay big money for them to do the things they do. But then you find out that on the back end, they're not just like you and me. They're actually kind of worse because they can get away with it because we paid them a lot of money. Lawsuit against the trust said that the agents forced her out of her home and told her she had been locked out in a violation of an oral tenancy agreement and Florida law. The trust has asked the court to compel confidential arbitration for the dispute, saying Herman sued the trust to avoid arbitration. Eldrick Tiger Woods established a trust in 2017 to benefit himself and his children. Miss Herman was invited to live in the residence with her former boyfriend, that being Tiger Woods, Eldridge himself, but was told she was no longer welcome. There's also a misappropriation of $40,000 cash and more than $30 million in damages going forward for the house. This is ugly. This costs money. This is big. Read the story for more details and deeper storyline. But I guess the bottom line here is we care about this because it's Tiger Woods. We care about Tiger Woods because he's Tiger Woods. We also sort of have to acknowledge that he may not be one of the good guys. I think it's that's kind of there. There isn't really a lot to the story, but we put up Halle Bailey, and she is, of course, going to be the new Little Mermaid in the live-action series that has right-wing people all of Twitter because she is a black mermaid and not translucent or something like that. Guess what? All these things, Disney things, come up with their tie-in dolls, and the doll for Halle Bailey is up. Red hair, mermaid tail, even the little beauty mark she has above her eye. She was nearly speechless in tears when it was unveiled a few days ago, and it's take a few days for people to see the viral video and get a nice story out of it. And so we have a nice story out of it for you to check out too. It much definitely it's a nice palette wash from the last two stories, and we'll of course make taking the next couple stories a little better. Nice news, good person, very talented person, Halle Bailey, getting her Little Mermaid doll and getting all teared up about it. Oh, let's go to another not so great guy. Yeezy. Yeezy fallout could push Adidas into its first annual loss in 31 years. It's hard to lose money in sneakers, in sportswear. It really is. One of the things about those things is they can drop the price, they can raise the price, they can do whatever they want to, and manipulate things so that sport gear, sneakers, fashion always wins. Excuse me. So what gets really, really weird here is that with all the deal with the Yeezy brand, the Kanye West branded clothings and shoes and whatnot that were flying off the shelves until Kanye West did it. Kanye West is going to lose Adidas about 1.2 billion euro or 1.27 billion dollars this year directly from dealing with the Yeezy split, and that paying him money and not honoring the deal, not being able to sell the shoes, is essentially costing Adidas a whole lot of money. What does this mean? Well, it's going to cost Adidas a whole lot of money. Kanye will still Kanye, and his stuff will still look kind of weird. But in the meantime, I don't know what this means, to be honest. It just really means that a bad investment can really turn things down, and a person doing really, really, really stupid bad things can easily ruin a bad investment. I just saw the documentary on HQ the other day about how that started off ablaze, and then all sort of the internal things sort of blew up because the two founders actually kind of hated each other. Things like that. Be careful what your business partners do, and be careful that they're not crazy geniuses. Make sure they're geniuses. That's great. The crazy part, try to hold off on. TJ Maxx recalls 80,000 office chairs sold at TJ Maxx and Marshalls after injuries reported. 81,700 to be exact. And the retailer received 12 reports of chairs back-breaking, along with 10 reports of injuries, concussions, and asked customers immediately to bring them back. Also included are strains, numbness, bruising, said the agency. So if you bought a office chair, go to the TJ Maxx website and look for this recall. Click the link for, we have the USA Today article. There's a listing of all the models and all the colors is there. If you bought a chair from TJ Maxx recently, check it out. It might not be a great chair. State question 82 election results. What's that about? Oklahomans vote against recreational marijuana. Boo. But there still do have medical marijuana in Oklahoma. There are plenty of dispensaries for people who want to get it with their card. But state question 820 failed with almost 62% of voters being against the measure. Now, Oklahoma voters debated whether to legalize recreational marijuana for a while, and opponents said it would generate millions of tax revenue, as they say all the time, and help expunge criminal records, because if people are getting picked up for small amounts of weed and they're no longer picking up for that offense, then there's less people getting arrested for this thing. However, 62% of Oklahomans who voted for this referendum, by the way, not 60% of actual Oklahomans, but 62% of the voters said no. That's what's important. So if you actually cared about this, you probably should have voted. My tagline on voting is your vote doesn't count, but a bunch of you voting counts. So the one vote is usually one vote doesn't usually swing an election, but a big block of votes along the same lines does. Transgender comedian Eddie Izzard changed his name. Quote, I'm going to be Suzy Eddie Izzard. So not so, yeah, a bit underwhelming, yes. But Eddie Izzard, who's been openly transgender for quite some time and has, very recently, in recent years, bit more flamboyant, if you will, but bit just out there with his gender, sexuality, whatever you call it, is finally changing his name, or at least going by a different address. So he's keeping Eddie Izzard because he's Eddie Izzard, but he's adding Suzy to kind of accentuate what is going on. He did this to, because he can, and he should have his right to. You can agree, disagree with the movement, if you will, but this is a person who has earned his right to be who he wants to be. You also don't have to like it, which is fine. You also don't have to watch his stuff, which is fine. You also have to not pay for shows and turn him off when he's on TV, which is fine. But you don't have the right to not call him Suzy if he wants to be called Suzy. There was a Whitney Houston, my name is not Susan joke in there, but we're going to move on because we're running late on time. And this one, Michael B. Jordan team suspiciously shut down Superman questions. Why? Because everybody thinks Michael B. Jordan is going to be the next Superman. Will he? Won't he? No one knows because Michael B. Jordan won't answer the question. There you go. Hey, Michael B. Jordan, are you going to be Superman? Man, I ain't got time for that question. Hey, Michael B. Jordan, you going to do the next Superman movie? Nah, no, I ain't got time for that question. Michael B. Jordan, you're going to wear the suit, right? You're going to get the big old S. You're going to be Michael B. Jordan, Michael S. Jordan. Nah, I get it. That's exactly what's happened. No one in his team is answering any questions. Shut him down instantly on the Superman deal. Will he or won't he? We will know eventually when a new Superman shows up. We'll see if it's Michael B. He's already played the Black Human Torch in that reimaging. It's already, of course, he is Killmonger. And, of course, as we all know, Killmonger is pretty much right. But we'll see if he's going to be the big blue Boy Scout, as many people call him, because, so conservatives can go ape shit over that one as well. Let's talk about our teaser story for this morning. And this is a story we may talk about tomorrow, maybe tomorrow, if you deem this one a big enough to talk. Now, we did not put the teaser up for Sean Kemp being picked up after a drive-by shooting, which it's all in my mind. But this one actually more important. Senate Republican leader Mitch McConnell hospitalized after fall, spokesman says. He fell in a hotel yesterday, and because he's kind of old, they take you to the hospital when you fall. He's actually in the hospital now and may be out for a while, which may mean he can't get any work done. Is this a big thing to talk about? You will tell me tomorrow, or actually you'll tell me today, so I'll know it tomorrow by going to our feeds on Facebook and Twitter. Facebook.com/This Is the Conversation Project and Twitter.com/th_conversation. Like the stories, hate the stories, engage in stories. The more engagement you get, higher chance we have to talk about this for tomorrow. We will take the top 15 stories of the day, and I'll pull 8 of them to present to you on tomorrow morning. So we shall see how this plays out pretty quickly. Let's move on to talk more about me, but less about news and more about finances, if you will. We're going to do our pitch for the partnerships in a moment, but right now, here's a pitch for you just to use our sponsors and just buy what you're going to buy to help us keep things ongoing here. This sponsor has been with us for a long time. This company I've been using well before I started using it as a affiliate sponsor because I love their stuff. Zenni Optical. This is conversationproject.com/Zenni is your way to access Zenni Optical, and they will get you the best glasses for the best price that you'll ever find out there. You really can't beat their prices. Great frames, great lenses, great service for your glasses, your wife's glasses, your daughter's glasses, your son's glasses, your auntie's glasses, your grandma's glasses. Whoever needs glasses, they are there. Whether they need glasses to see, glasses to read, glasses with tri and bifocals because they can't see and read at the same time. Also sports glasses and blue blockers to keep out the evils of the rays of the computers. They've got them all, and they've got them all at a great price. It's that simple. Check it out at thisistheconversationproject.com/Zenni, Zenni. Zenni Optical will take great care of you. This is an affiliate link, so we get a little cut from your purchases, but it costs you nothing extra to be at Zenni Optical. Let's talk about us again. The Conversation Project lives at thisistheconversationproject.com. is where you get a chance to be a part of the whole conversation. The whole point of the conversation project is literally a way to get people to chat up, talk about, and engage in news stories, public events, things, current events, things, all sorts of things with people around the world. And it's like we literally throw up a story, you chat about it, we talk about it in a bigger sense. You can go to our website and find out ways to engage with us using the various forms of this show, things you might have heard, the video, the past video, the live video, the podcast, the newsletter. You can find other podcasts and other newsletters, other things we produce along lines of this to keep up conversations and sometimes stoke conversations. And this is the part where it becomes the pledge drive part, where I put on my Puss in Boots big old, crying eyes, kitty eyes. We need some help to keep things going. And we're looking to gather up about an extra $200 of revenue per month ongoing. And we're using this month to highlight that. So every day this month, every program this month, we're going to do this. It's pledge drive time. It's going to take a while, but we're going to do this. If you deem that we're producing for you content that is worthy of a little bit of help, go by our partnerships page at thisisaconsecrationproject.com/partnerships. You can also go by our sponsors page and see our sponsors. You can visit any sponsor you want to. The most important thing you can do is to basically, like, subscribe, and share, like we have in the little graphic going on for the program, because that's what keeps things going. It helps me gather more sponsors and gather more partnerships on the global stage, on the corporate end. But if you deem us worthy of the content, stop by our partnerships page and see if there's a way that we can partner up together. We thank you in advance. Now, you'll thank me in advance for the fun stuff we're going to do right now. You'll thank me right now, I guess. You can thank me psychically through the internets as we do our today things that you might not have heard about, starting off with birthdays for today. Highlighting on the day, Steve Wilkos at 59 years old. Yes, famous for being the guy that saved Jerry Springer from a couple of butt whoopings and then getting a show where they let the same people do the same stuff Jerry Springer did. 59 years old on the day. Emmanuel Lewis, who people under 45 probably have no idea who he is. Emmanuel Lewis is a very short person who, when he was in his late teens, early 20s, played an 8-year-old with Alice Caracas. Exactly. Emmanuel Lewis, Webster. We all love him. You may not know who he is, but trust me, he's big. 52 years old on the day. And Oscar Isaac, in the Star Wars movies, doing a lot of other great stuff, 44 years old on the day. A couple other highlights we can throw out there, people that did not make the list because there's only 3 on the list. Brittany Snow is 37 years old today. Also, Juliette Binoche, 59, and Linda Florentino, 65 years old on the day. Let's go with the day we're celebrating today. Our special day is going to be Crab Meat Day because crab meat is delicious. You can also celebrate Barbie Day. We'll get to that in a moment. False Teeth Day, Get Over It Day, probably not getting over it today, and Name Tag Day. So if you're like me and never wear your name tag at work, you should probably wear your name tag at work today. Chances are, I'm still not wearing my name tag because I honestly don't know where it is. 1959, starting off our today in history, Barbie the doll made its debut in the American International Toy Fair in New York today. That's why today is Barbie Day, Barbie's birthday, 1959, or Barbie's debut day, essentially, 1959 on this day. 1997, gangster rapper Notorious B.I.G., whose real name was Christopher Wallace, was killed in a drive-by shooting in Los Angeles at age 24. People to this day think it's fake, and he's living in Vegas, just sitting in his mansion, smoking cigars and dropping bars and doing whatever. It's because people believe that it was faked. He passed in 1997. Sorry. Something else that seemed like it was faked, but real. In 2015, the Apple Watch was introduced and went on sale a little over a month later because people couldn't afford it. People still can't afford it, so now they're mortgaging their houses and selling kidneys to afford the next Apple Watch, which ironically probably will, amortize the taxes on their houses and, do kidney health, except they don't only have houses and kidneys. Carrying on. one more thing before you go. One more thing you might not have heard. The Governor's Highway Safety Association just released preliminary estimates for pedestrian traffic fatalities in 2022 and found that the first half of the year, pedestrian deaths resulted from being struck and killed by drivers was up 5% over year to year. Compared to 2019, pedestrian deaths due to drivers are up 18%, with the national rate hitting 1.04 pedestrian deaths per 100,000 people. One person per 100,000 people gets hit by a car and dies. The most dangerous state for pedestrians in Florida, where the rate is 1.99, basically 2 pedestrian deaths per 100,000. That's double the national level. Obviously, that's the math there. So, pedestrian deaths of people being hit by cars is serious. 1 in 100,000 is a lot of people when you go into the millions of people. So be careful, be safe. Jaywalking may not be a thing, but be careful going across the street because these people don't stop. There's a street literally right by my job where people, it's 45-mile-an-hour street, but people do a 60 on it and they don't stop. And right now they repaved it so we don't even have crosswalks, so they're using that as an excuse. Look both ways. Wait for the cars to go by. Don't say, oh, I have the right of way, this car should stop, because obviously 1 in 100,000 people have an issue with that. Today, Thursday, March the 9th, 2023. My name is Jay Cleveland Payne. This has been, and will always be things you might have heard for Thursday, March the 9th, and I'm glad to have you with us for this day. One more day to fill out this week of news, hopefully a lot less of a macabre news, but since we'll probably be talking about Mitch McConnell this fall, probably a lot more macabre news, if you say honestly. But one more day, we're going to try to lighten it up and try to make it happy as possible. But it's all on you. Go to our website, thisisaconversationproject.com. Find out details on how you can see our stories, see what's going on. And, of course, follow our feeds on Facebook and Twitter because you vote the stories up to be in place. If you deem what we're doing worthy of a little bit of help, worthy of keeping it going, stop by our partnerships page at our website and see if we can partner up. In the meantime, make sure you are staying hydrated, staying limber, and staying on task for all the grand things you are meant to do in this world today, tomorrow, and the next couple of years or decades, if you get that much. I'm out. We're going to do this thing tomorrow for one more ride, one more round, one more fun time of things you might have heard for a Friday edition.